Hello, everyone. Welcome. Thank you for joining, whether you're watching the recording or you're joining us live. We appreciate that you're tuning in and hopefully going to take a little bit of time to get your CS First class set up so you are all ready to go to get coding in your classroom. So the next hour, we are going to dive in step by step and make sure that we get your CS First class set up. But before we do, you will see I have posted the link in the chat. We'll post a few more things over in that chat as well. But let's stop and just recognize the lens that we are on. If you have been a part of any of our workshops or any of our lessons, we start them with a land acknowledgement, as many people do, as many lessons or workshops do. But what a great opportunity to just stop and be thankful for these lands that we are able to be on. If you are in Canada or North America, we know that these lands were settled by people well before us. I'm based in Calgary, super thankful to be on the traditional territory of the Piikani, the Kainai, Tsuut'ina, Stoney Nakoda, the Blackfoot, Métis are here as well. This is Treaty 7 territory. And again, I just want to give thanks for being able to be here. If you have not had a chance to take a look at native-land.ca, I'm going to put that link in the chat for you as well. That's an amazing resource. Just to learn more about the Indigenous cultures around us. All right, with that, like I mentioned, we are setting up our CS First classes together today. I did post the link in the Q&A. If you are watching the recording, just make sure you've got that Q&A open and you should see that link, thecc.page/csfirst-setup. And sometimes, just sometimes, we have some school boards that do not allow our cc.page short links. We get it. We totally get it. So there you go. I've just posted again into the chat a bit.ly link, bit.ly/csfirst-setup will take you to the same slide deck. This is our resource for today. A lot of today is just showing you step by step what you need to do to set up your CS First. There's a few different ways to do it, but all of the instructions are in that slide deck, so you'll want to absolutely open up a copy of that. So like I mentioned, I am on Treaty 7 territory in Calgary, Alberta, Canada. My name is Michelle Armstrong with the Cobblestone Collective. And who's the Cobblestone Collective? If you do not know who we are a group of over 40 educators, former educators, consultants, tech nerds that just love learning and sharing our tech knowledge with teachers and classrooms all across, well, North America, Canada mostly. We are a Google for Education PD partner. And this workshop would not be possible if it were not for Google Canada. That's Sandy Curry, STEM Computer Science Outreach Manager, as well as Karen Parker, heads up the CS First team down in the States. It's because of them we are able to bring this to you at no cost and a huge wealth of resources and other programming at no cost as well. So huge shout out to Sandy and Karen and all of their teams at Google. But don't let me scare you away. If you are not a Google district, guess what? CS First can be used whether you're a Google district, a Microsoft district. We're going to show you right in the next hour how you can set up your CS First class regardless of the platform you're using. So that is one super cool feature about CS First. We are going to talk about, well, what is CS First? In case you missed our workshop a couple days ago, I'll share that with you as well. But our whole reason for doing all of this is coding across the curriculum is back. next school year. So starting in September, we will be back with more live lessons. We will have Googlers joining us for those lessons. We are going to beam into your classrooms and help you teach coding to your students all across the curriculum. For information on that, you will definitely want to check out the recording that we created just a couple of days ago. We walked through, well, what is this whole coding across the curriculum series, and how do we teach your class with you? If you're not familiar with our co-taught lesson format, you definitely want to check out that recording. If you missed it, I just threw that link into the chat for everyone. That'll explain a whole lot of things that maybe might not make sense tonight if you don't know what our co-taught lessons are. But link is in the chat for you. Link is also in that slide deck that you have. Hopefully, you will join us in some of our co-taught lessons coming up September 2023. So we are going to spend the rest of this. We don't want to watch that video. That would be silly. The rest of this time we have together, we want to get our heads around, well, what exactly is CS First? And how do we set up our class so that we can all be coding together? If you have already heard of CS First, you kind of know what it is, you're just waiting to get to the nitty-gritty, maybe you want to go grab a cup of coffee, come on back. But we're just going to give a super brief overview. What is CS First? Inside this slide deck, it walks you through exactly, kind of in words, well, what is CS First? I'm going to give you the high-level overview using these slides, but then I want to jump over into CS First so you can see what it is firsthand. So CS First, it is a place where we go and we have videos that we get to watch that tell us and our students how to do coding in language arts, how to do coding in music, and so on. So it gives different scenarios and different challenges for your students, videos that are there for you and your students to learn, as well as a starter project to get them going. You'll notice it looks a whole lot like Scratch. If you're familiar with Scratch block-based coding, yup, it's basically the same, but it is Scratch for CS First, which is locked down under this nice, neat teacher dashboard that your students can log into and you can see their work right there. So that's why we're here tonight. We're going to discover all of the great lessons inside of CS First. We're going to discover how to set up our class so we can see all of our student work right there. So if you are looking for CS First, admittedly, I just Google it, but the actual URL for CS First is csfirst.withgoogle.com. That's going to take you to a landing page with all sorts of cool curriculum. We'll jump over there in just a second, but just so you know what you're going to be getting when you go there. You've got a curriculum tab. In that curriculum tab, a whole lot of lesson choices. Some of those lessons are just 1 hour. Nice, quick, easy. Let's dive in, get some coding experience, and then we're done. But some of those are multi-day units, like storytelling, music, rich activities that you can do throughout a few weeks, maybe a semester, but all sorts of units that tie together. Et c'est aussi disponible en français. So those of you that are teaching French, there are 8 lessons available entirely in French. Your coding blocks are in French. Your videos are in French. Instructions are in French. It's super cool opportunity for your students to be coding in French as well. We also will see there's some new formats inside of CS First. So CS First is videos and starter projects where you're coding kind of in two windows. But now there's a new format where your instructions and your coding are all in the same place. If you're teaching primary level students, amazing. It makes it so much easier for our students if the instructions are right there in the same window as their code. So watch for that when you jump into CS First. There are a huge number of resources as well. We are going to show you those firsthand, but just know, cheat sheets. The answer keys are available for all of the lessons inside CS First. So you can have the code that is being expected by the students right there in front of you in case there are any issues. Okay, we're going to talk about curricular alignment in 1 second, but let's go over here and we are going to just look firsthand at, well, what is CS First? So if you go to csfirst.google.com, takes you to a page that looks just like this. I only gave you a very high level overview of what you're going to find, but whoa, you have a few things always free of charge. That is something very important to mention firsthand. It's fun. We can get started. And like I mentioned, here's some of those lesson ideas that you can use. But let's just go in. Let's just see all of this curriculum. Let's see what else is out there. So when we go see all the curriculum, there they are. So there's this new CS First format. We've got Hour of Code lessons. We've got a lot of language arts lessons. We then get into those multi-day units, fashion and design, but just a really cool way to just look at coding under different contexts. The other thing I want to show you is under the resources. So we click on resources, everything you need to teach CS First. So why are you here? Well, because we have even more that you need to teach CS First. But just know you are in great hands. We're going to help you out today. If you need more information, you just check out the resources right inside the CS First site. It's a wealth of information, videos, instructions, pretty much everything you need. And the funny thing is, CS First isn't actually that difficult to get set up. But just in case, you can just rest assured that you've got lots of resources there for you. Okay, well, why would you even want to dive into CS First in the first place? Well, it's fun. It's coding. Kids love it. And it's aligned to the curriculum. So if you're joining us from outside of Canada, I have curricular resources for you as well. The next few pages I'm going to show you, though, are specific to Canada. So at the Cobblestone Collective, we have worked together with Google and we have mapped the CS First activities, mostly grades 4 through 6, some of them grade 4 through 8, but to the curriculums in Ontario, Manitoba, Alberta, Nova Scotia, BC, and Quebec. To find all of those curricular mappings, you will see the link down at the bottom of the page there, g.co/csfirst/curriculum-mapping. If you click on that link, that's going to take you to the CS First front-facing list of curricular alignments. Let me dive into that just real quick for you so you can see what you're going to get in case you don't want to be doing all sorts of tab switching. But let's go into that link, and that link takes you here. So I just talked about the Canadian standards. So if we scroll to the bottom of this page, you will see there's our grade 48, language arts, math, science, technology, and the arts. That's for Ontario. We also have some extra grade 9 math for Ontario teachers. Also, this is just an extra resource. Those of you in Ontario, be sure to check out the Coding Terms Explained. Great document that explains those curricular concepts specific to Ontario. But then we've got Quebec, Cycle 2 and 3. We have British Columbia, Alberta, Manitoba, Nova Scotia, more provinces coming soon. But those of you in the United States, we haven't forgotten you. CS First started with alignments for all of you folks. So that is also on that link that you saw in the slide deck. So if you're wondering, does this connect to my curriculum? Oh yeah, it definitely does in many, many different places. So that's the why for CS First. I guess it's the what and the why. Let's dive into the how. How do we get CS First started so that we can go ahead and assign units to our students? And most importantly, we see our student work right there as they're coding. So that's the coolest part about setting up a CS First class. If you want a teacher guide to go through step by step, we have the teacher guide for you. I am also going to put that link into the chat. This is a setup guide. It's a text-based setup guide, more visual. So if you or a colleague just likes to follow those step-by-steps instead of listening to someone like me on a video, there it is for you. So it's a setup guide, which is also available in French. You will see a link up at the top that gives you the French setup guide. And yes, those of you that are Microsoft Board, there is a whole section that's just for you. If you are a Microsoft school district or school board, you have a setup guide just for you as well. So that's your takeaway party resource. If you want to turn off this video now and just go set things up yourself, go for it. But hopefully you are here because you knew you need to just take a few minutes, and it's going to be about 20 minutes, and we're going to be all set up. So hopefully you'll stick around with me. We're going to walk through the different scenarios, but if you need to refer back to that teacher's guide, if you missed something, go for it. And of course, you could just come back to this video. It's not going away, and you can refresh your memory as well. So step 1, if you're going to do this with me, let's do this. Jump into a new tab. So if you are a Google district or a Microsoft district, step 1 is the same. Jump to a new tab. Get yourself to CS First. So that's csfirst.withgoogle.com. So get yourself to CS First. I am hoping that you are listening to my voice. You're in a new tab. You are doing this. You are at CS First. You see that sign in button. You have clicked sign in. And now we have a decision to make. So decision 1 is, are we going to sign in with Google? Or are we going to sign in with something else? So very first and foremost, it kind of looks like, oh, my only option is sign in with Google. But don't worry, I'm going to show you another way to sign in. So right now, though, if you have a Google account, we're going to go through how you set up your We're going to go through how you set up your CS First with your Google account first thing. So you are going to just sign in. If you are already logged in, it's going to show you, hey, choose an account. But if you aren't signed in yet, go ahead, type in that account, and you are set. Easy peasy. Those of you that do not have a Google account or prefer not to use a Google account, here's how you can create just your very own CS First account, which you can even use your Microsoft email to do. So just thinking back, if you've got a school Google account, perfect. If you want to use a personal Gmail, you could do that too. The school Google accounts give you much more flexibility. So option 1, Google account. Option 2, nope. I just want to create a brand new CS First account. So if that's you, if you're a Microsoft district, this is where you are going to say, create an account. You put in your name. You put in whatever name you want. You don't need a last name. I chose to put in Miss Armstrong. You can put in whatever first name you would prefer to have attached to your account. And then, yes, they do ask you for demographic information, your birthday, your gender. Yeah, they don't know if you're telling the truth or not. But CS First just really wants to know what is the demographic using CS First. So hopefully you will be honest. Go ahead and put in that birthday and that gender. And then next, this is I kind of like this. So if we want to create a brand new Gmail account just for CS First, we can. But what I recommend, especially for those of you in Microsoft districts, you click that link that says use existing email. So that way you can use your Microsoft email account. What it's basically doing is it's going to create sort of a cloaked email, cloaked Google account, I guess, that looks exactly the same as your Microsoft email account. So you'll notice here what I use. So I have a demo account on my Microsoft domain. I said use an existing account. I went ahead and I put in Adele's Microsoft account. And then when I press next, this is what I love is Google's like, oh, hey, we're not just going to give anyone a CS First account. You got to give me some information. Well, not give me information first. We got to just verify that you are who you say you are. So the first thing it's going to do, it's going to send you an email. So Microsoft districts, you're going to get an email to your Outlook that has the verification code. Sweet. Put in that verification code. Then it's going to say, okay, let's just make sure you're not a robot. So then it's going to text a phone number. So you'll need to put in a phone number, a cell phone, that you can receive a code. It's just a double verification to make sure that you are who you are. So you put in that verification code from your phone, and then it asks you, all right, let's go ahead. Let's create a password. Once you do this, boom, you have a CS First account set up using your Microsoft email account. I know I went through that fairly quickly. Definitely feel free to pause here and go back to those steps, get yourself caught up, or watch this all just to kind of see what's the lay of the land, and then rewind and go through those steps again. So if you have a Google account, you already signed in. If you have another account or you want to create a Gmail, there's a bit more of a process. Once you have that set up, it takes you to, well, we have some privacy things we want you to know about. So you've just set up a brand new account. We got to let you know how we might use it. And so Google does go through and just let you know, hey, all we have is your name, your birth date. We don't have any significant information, but we're just looking at some demographics. If you're watching YouTube videos, they may have a sense of what kind of videos. They may send advertising, I believe it says there. But know that this is your teacher account. Students do not have to go through this process. So I want to make sure to be very, very clear. Only teacher accounts end up being visible, if you will. But just a reminder, there was no demographic information, no addresses. That phone number was only used for verification purposes. So really, they've got whatever name you put in there, whatever birth date you put in there. And so if you choose not to put in real information, that is completely up to you. So hopefully you are comfortable with the privacy policy, and then you've gone ahead and accepted that privacy policy. And I want to just talk one more thing about this privacy and connecting to your Microsoft account, because it's a bit hard to wrap your brain around. You've just used your Microsoft email to set up a Google account, but the one thing that you do not get is access to Gmail. So your email account is already taken. It's already being used by Outlook. So you could connect it to Gmail, but it's going to make you actually create a Gmail address. So just want you to know, creating your CS First account, it is a Google account. If you want to use it for Google Drive, Google Docs, Google Slides, YouTube, all the power to you. You absolutely can. But the one thing you cannot do with this CS First account is use Gmail. But I think that's pretty cool. We can use our Microsoft email account to do all these cool things, and doesn't mess up the email system for our IT admins. Hopefully that made sense. I think it's great that Microsoft districts can use CS First as well. So by now, if you have set up your CS First account, maybe you paused and now you're back with me. As soon as that CS First account is set up, you have a survey to fill out. Once again, this is actually optional. You could just click out of this and not have to do the survey. But CS First does a really great job of improving their products. And if they know who's using this and why, all the better. So this survey just helps them understand what's your purpose for using this. The data that they get can hopefully make CS First better. Like I say, it's optional. You're signed in. Now, how do we get your students signed into CS First? This is where things get a tiny bit, I don't want to say tricky. It's not really tricky, but there are a few different ways to do this. Let's go through them together. Step one. So if you have set up your account, you're either using a personal Gmail or a Microsoft email account, you're going to get to a page that looks like this. You're inside CS First. You go to My Dashboard. Inside My Dashboard, you will see Classes. With that plus, you say Create a Class, and then you get this pop-up box with a couple of choices, and you can make your colors different for each of the classes. So that's if you have used your Microsoft account or a Gmail account. Anything that's not a Google Workspace for Education account. This is what it looks like. Hold that thought. If you're using a Google account, so you've got Google Workspace, you sign in, go to your dashboard, say create a class. Immediately, CS First is like, ooh, you want to connect it to Classroom? We can do that for you. So if you are not using Google Classroom, that's okay. I'm going to show you how to add your students without Google Classroom. But if you are using Google Classroom, it's like, oh my goodness, it just imports all of your students and they're there. So a couple different things that might happen. Now, if you do have that Google Workspace account and you've decided, no, I don't have Google Classroom, or I don't want to use Google Classroom, well, you're just going to click on that. We'll create a class without Google Classroom. And then look at that. You get a menu very similar to those that set up their account using their Microsoft account. Okay, but wait, there's a little bit of a difference. Let's look closely. So if you sign in, the left side image, I'm going to even just make that big for you just so you can see. This left side image, this side is if I don't have a Google Workspace for Education account. This side, I do have a Google account, but I said I don't want to set it up through Google Classroom. You'll notice this choice here that I've got circled, it's grayed out. You don't have that option for your students. So this menu here is basically saying when you set up your class, you have two options if you used your Google account. You only have one option if you set it up using just a CS First account with your Microsoft email. Hopefully that makes sense. So when you set up your class, you have to give your students a choice. Choice one, so if we're over here on the Google side, do you want your students to sign in with their Google accounts? Or do you want to give your students anonymous usernames and passwords? So let me say that again, because that's a pretty cool thing about CS First. We have the option in our Google boards that if you want students to sign in with their Google account, perfect. But there are some boards that say, nah, you know what? I want to make sure that student privacy is paramount, and I want to give anonymous usernames and passwords. Regardless of which route you go, basically the same rules apply. It's a Google third-party product. So if students are using their Google accounts, typically there are parent permissions that have already gone out that say if the product is approved, they're okay to use their Google account. But if you choose to use anonymous usernames and passwords, that option is there for you. On this left-hand side, if you only have one choice, and that's those anonymous usernames and passwords. Let's look into how we do those. So we'll start first. Let's start first with those Google logins. So if you have logged in using your school's Google account, this next information is for you. You have chosen, I think we just had that. Why? There we go. Great. So that's right. So we're back here. If you have chosen, hey, I want students to use their Google account, as soon as you create this class, it's going to say, ta-da, you've created a class, and here's how your students join, and it even gives you the instructions. Tell your students to sign in with Google. So it's kind of cool that CS First is really just helping you give instructions to those students. And on the student side, it says, ask your teacher how to sign in. So they will sign in using their Google accounts, and then they'll be asked for a class code, and that class code is generated for you automatically. That's if you use your Google account and you want your students to use their Google accounts. Now, if this slide actually needs the title to be changed, but if students choose not to use their Google account, so they are going to create new accounts, it gives them the instructions, go ahead and create an account. We're going to show you how students create those anonymous usernames and passwords in just a second. But I just wanted to go through, there's those two options. If you want your students to use Google accounts, or if you want them to create new anonymous accounts. Now, if you connect to Classroom, it's a completely different process. Those of you that use Google Classroom, this will likely be fairly familiar to you. You're going to just say, yep, go ahead, bring in my students from, and it's going to give you a list of all of the classrooms that you are connected to. The very first time you do this, CS First is going to give you a pop-up that just says, hey, yo, wait, are you sure you want to connect it to Google Classroom? And you're like, oh yeah, let's do it. So once it does that, then automatically the class you created is there, and your students now are going to have an invite to join. So students really don't have to do much at this point. You are going to just click a button that says, hey, send my students some instructions to let them know there's this invite for them to join CS First. You're going to just click the button here, share instructions to Classroom, tell it which class to share it to, and then your students are going to see an invite inviting them to Classroom. Okay, that's what you need to do on your end. So teachers, at this point, you may want to pause, go back. You want to be logged into CS First. You want to create your first class. You want to decide how you want your students to join, whether with Google or new CS First accounts or through Classroom. And then now we're going to take a look at what happens next. What do the students see? Hopefully this all makes sense. I kind of wonder if we should just do 3 separate recordings for the 3 separate ways to sign in. But hopefully you're following along. That setup guide, remember, the setup guide goes through all of these different steps. So what do the students see? Students are going to go to CS First. They're going to say, I'm a student. And then now they have 2 options. Do they want to sign in with Google? Or do they want to sign in with CS First and see how it tells them? Not sure what to do? Ask your teacher. So that's kind of cool. So let's talk first about signing in with Google. If they're connected to Google Classroom, so you've already set up your class, you said connected to Google Classroom, here's what the students see. They see a message. Ooh, you're invited to join a class. Your teacher wants you to join. Do you join this class or decline the invitation? So inside your Google Classroom, you would have told them, hey, here's the instructions. Click on this link, log into CS First, and then as soon as they get into CS First, this is what they see. Sometimes students decline the invitation, but it's okay. You can go back to your dashboard and resend them individually, those invitations. Okay, if you've said log in with your Google account, but there's no Google Classroom connection, same thing. You tell your students, sign in with Google. And then this time, students are going to get a message, boop, that says, hey, you don't have any classes here yet. Click here to join a class, and then it's going to ask them for that class code. On your teacher dashboard, you've got that class code. You can even share a direct link that automatically puts in that class code for them. Students put in their class code, and then boop, they're in your class. Now, what about these anonymous CS First accounts? Here's how we do that. So Microsoft districts, this is what you're going to do. And even if you're a Google district, if you choose, for students to have those anonymous usernames and passwords, here's what they're going to do. They're going to sign in with CS First. They are automatically going to be asked, oh, wait, do you have a class code? We're not going to do anything here unless you show me you're connected to a teacher. And at the bottom, it also just gives the students a little bit more prompts. So they've put in their class code, and then if they already have signed up before, perfect. They can go ahead and sign in again. But if this is the very first time they're logging into CS First, they want to click where it says create an account. It's tiny, teeny little text down at the bottom. Create an account. CS First says, well, wait, like, hey, only do this if your teacher said so. Like, are you sure you understand? Click I understand. And then this is the best part. It makes them click a checkbox that they actually wrote down their username and password, and they told their teacher what their username and password is. Every CS First username and password is a super easy 3-digit number and a 4-letter password. It's a 4-letter word of some sort. So hopefully very easy for students to remember. You as the teacher on your dashboard, you're only going to see those numbers. So we'll show you in just a second how you connect those usernames with the actual student name so you know who's who. So that's why CS First is asking, hey, did you write it down? And so they have to check it off. The other option is to keep them signed into CS First on the device, especially if they're using shared devices. Of course, you don't want them to stay signed in. In fact, I never stay signed in even on my own device, just because. So just know that that is an option there as well when they create their account. And then once they say, go ahead, they see whatever class it is that you've created for them. In this case, mine is Welcome to CS First is the name of my amazing class. And let me jump over to that class for you so you can see what it looks like when your students have all joined. So let's go back over here. I'm going to share this tab instead. So this is my teacher dashboard. Let me zoom in a little bit on that for you too, even if I can. There we go. So on my teacher dashboard, I went into my classes, and here's my CS First party. When I click on that People tab, let me go bigger screen here for you as well. But when I click on that People tab, here are some students that have names. Oh, but if you look down below, yikes, I have a lot of no names. The very first time our students that use anonymous usernames and passwords, the very first time they log in, they're not going to show up on your teacher dashboard. That's why you have to ask them, okay, hey, who's number 124? Or perhaps they come up to your desk and you just record them individually. Maybe they submit those into a Microsoft form or Google form or whatever LMS you're using. But some way you need to connect those numbers with your students. So 124, maybe that's, let's go with Catherine today. So if that's Catherine, perfect. Now I know, oh, that user is Catherine. Something you may have noticed there was a little note that said, hey, these names are only going to appear on this computer that you're on right now. Google doesn't want to store any of your data, even student names. So this is stored in your cache only on the device you initially type it into. If you go log into another computer, those student names are gone. So be sure maybe print it out at the end once you've got all of those student names in there, just to be sure those don't go away. We have full control here to change student passwords. If they have forgotten their passwords, we can reset them. We can see, well, what activity are they working on? Oh, well, these students are doing the animated name activity. Oh, fun. Michael decided to dive into Hour of Code. I didn't even assign that, but how cool that he wanted to do that. Oh, Sharish and Talia, they're doing different activities as well. Hopefully they finished the one I assigned, but we can see the work that these students are doing. So let's just check in on Paula. If I click on Paula, there I see, there's the project that Paula is working on. Let's see who else has something in here. This is Daryl. Oh, look at that. We see Daryl's a little bit farther ahead. Each of these students that I just showed you, they only have one project. But let's just go in here and maybe see what Sharish has going. Oh, Sharish has a project I assigned for her, but then any other projects that Sharice is working on, if she's just doing something for fun, creating a new project not connected to any of my assignments, we can also see those projects right there as well. So when I click on any of these projects, I see them. It opens up Scratch for CS First, and I'm there able to see the code. In this case, the student doesn't have any code, but you would be able to see all of the code for your students right there as they're working, which is pretty great. Well, let's go back to, you've got your students in there, you've got your dashboard, the unit, so you notice that I had assigned animated name, I assigned the new CS First unit, adding units, super straightforward. You will see a button that says add unit. Then it's going to show you the whole list, all of those units, whether they're 1 day or those multi-hour units. You just pick the one you want. You say add to class, and then it's going to show all of those CS First classes you have set up. If you have more than one set up, you can add it to more than one class at a time, but that's easy. As soon as you add that class, that unit to your class, your students see it. So you let them know, all right, students, you got a new unit in CS First. Jump in, see what we're doing today. And there's the unit there for them. Oh boy, that hopefully helps you get everything set up for CS First. You can do any of those units all on your own. By all means, it's fabulous. But if you would like to join us in the fall where we can do CS First with you, then you definitely want to check out that video that I posted earlier in the chat. So we did this lesson just a couple of days ago. We explained to you how we can come in via live stream and help walk your students step by step through fun CS First activities. It'll be almost every second Tuesday next school year. We'll be live streaming. We'll be bringing Googlers with us to code with us as well. We'll be coding across the curriculum. All details about that, check out that link to the video from the other day. Oh, again, we don't want to watch that video. And the whole coding across the curriculum series, if you're like, yeah, I'm in, let's do it. You can just go to our website, cobblestonecollective.ca/CS First. That's going to give you the whole lowdown of the whole series that we're running next year. I'm going to post that into the chat for you as well. We ran this series this past school year almost every Tuesday. It was fabulous to be able to be beaming into classrooms, coding alongside students. So we sure hope you'll join us. Details are on that link that I just shared in the chat. If you're interested in what is a co-taught lesson, all that info is on our website as well. And then if you want to take, just stab at seeing what a co-taught lesson is, and you're itching this month, you don't want to wait till September, we have 2 final co-taught lessons with our Googlers. First one is on the 13th of June. The next one is on the 15th of June. And then we're done with our events until September, but hopefully you can tune in. The 13th of June is financial literacy, designed for our older students, grades 7 through 12. But if you go to our calendar, you will be able to sign up for those. And the one on the 15th, that's designed probably for grades 4 through 6. Grades 4 through 8, I'm sure we'll still enjoy it. But that's just an end of the year fun with Google tools, Google A to Z. But we're going to have Googlers joining us for that one as well. But if you're looking for a lesson where we will do the step-by-step instructions instead of you, please join us for either of those. And of course, everything's recorded. So if you can't join us live, the recordings will be there. And all of the recordings from our entire last year's Coding Across the Curriculum are all available for you. That link that I posted, that Coding Across the Curriculum, all the details are there. It's also in the video that we did, the recording from a couple days ago. So many resources, all of them for free. Next year, like I say, we'll be back for Tuesdays for our live lessons. If you have any questions whatsoever, don't hesitate to let us know. We know there's a lot of information going on, especially if you are watching this recording. Let's go here first. If you are watching this recording, let us know what questions you have, what support do you need, help@cobblestonecollective.ca. If you are here joining us live, I feel like you're a pretty quiet group, but if there is anyone joining us live and you would like to post your questions in the chat, by all means do so, but definitely send us an email if you have any questions. If you're having any trouble setting up your CS First class, we are here to help. And we say thank you once again, of course, to Sandy Curry, Karen Parker, the CS First team, and Google Canada for allowing not just this workshop, but this entire series, all of the resources, all of the recordings to be made available to all of you at no cost. Pretty cool initiative. Well, we certainly hope you enjoy coding with your class. We sure hope this was easy to help you get set up with CS First. If you have a colleague that might need a little extra hand getting things set up, feel free to send this recording to them. We are happy to share that broadly. So thank you again for watching. Happy coding to everyone. Take care.